What's up, guys? Got a knife review for you today. Big old box. Look at this thing. My hands, there's the box. What could be in here? Well, we can see who it's from. CRKT, Columbia River Knife and Tool. Awesome knife company. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of interest in this. This is the CRKT Onion Skinner. I did a video doing some stabbing tests, just fooling around, having some fun. And it's finally time to review. A lot of wear on this one. I used it until it got kind of dull. So a lot of use on this one for testing. It comes with a lanyard, but I always take those off usually. This is like a black thong leather. So basically just a squared strip of leather. It's dyed black to match everything. Of course, the mini catalog, which I love. Awesome reading material. Just get to look and see what the company has to offer. A lot of little sharp things, which is awesome. So definite fun bathroom material if you're sitting in there for a while. Yes, TMI. Okay, so here's a knife, here's the sheath. Lots to talk about in this video. Really interesting. And I'm gonna get a little scientific on you. Not that I'm a scientist or anything, but we're gonna be talking about the blade steel. Because the blade steel on this knife is a Bowler K110. And for most of you, that means nothing. Now, I could just do the review and just say blade steel is Bowler K110 and then move on and talk about ergonomics and stuff. But what is that going to help you? If you don't know anything about the steel, what does that information do for you? Nothing. So we're going to talk about that steel a little bit. But towards the end of the video, because I don't want to freak you out with all the numbers and big words and stuff, because if you're not into knives, like really into it, and you understand some of the mechanics of it and some of the metallurgy that goes into blade steels and stuff like that, materials, it's going to be disinteresting to you. You're not going to be watching the video for long. So let's get into it like a normal review, and at the end we'll talk more about that steel. So obviously we're looking at a fixed blade here. This fixed blade is a 3/4 tang. All right, so the tang comes down about 3/4 of the way in. It's not full tang or anything. I know some people are going to go, oh my god, no. If it's not full tang, it's crap. Well, that's a very ignorant thing to think. It's an extremely strong knife, and trust me when I say I did not hold back testing this. All right, didn't break, had no problems or anything like that. So yes, although I would personally prefer full tang fixed blades, it's not the end of the world. It actually has a decent amount of steel in there. All right, the reason it's not full tang is just because the handle is injection molded. There's a hard like polypropylene core in here. Actually, not polypropylene. I believe that's the outside material. The core of it's kind of like an FRN, fiberglass reinforced nylon, or GRN, glass reinforced nylon. Whatever. It's a really hard plastic covered with a slightly squishier plastic. It's not rubbery. All right. It feels rubbery in your hand, but it's more plastic than it is rubber. Kind of hard to say that to you. I mean, without feeling it, it's complicated to get a grasp for what I'm talking about, but it's not like grabbing a bicycle tire. All right, it's not, I mean, because of the grip on here, the initial feel may be like that, but ultimately it's more plastic than it is rubber. If that makes any sense to you. By the way, take a close look at that grip. And because, it's molded on there, you can do all kinds of funky designs and stuff like that. And although this is kind of a cool, it's definitely different. You don't see this on anything. It's actually very functional. And I was using this. It was a little crappy out and raining, drizzling and stuff. No gloves or anything like that. And I found that the grip was fantastic. It really was very good. Because of the overall shape of the handle itself, having the deep finger choil here, it does have a palm swell. All right, it gets a little fatter in the middle here to fill up your hand. It has a fantastic grip, so I really like it. You might be turned off by the physical looks of it. That would be personal preference, but it is a very functional grip. Very, very comfortable. I happen to think it looks cool because it's different. I like things that are different. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the sheath, and then we're going to talk about that blade steel and the blade design, all that kind of stuff. Sheath itself is obviously just a leather sheath. Okay, it's dyed black, just kind of mold fitted in there. The sheath works just fine. A lot of us are used to our Kydex all the time, so it's definitely a transition if you're one of those people that just like all your tactical knives and stuff. You're not one to use leather that often. Just like a gun holster, when you first get it, it's going to be very stiff, a little bit harder to put in. Okay, not a big deal though. The mold is very tight on this. It does not want to come out. Even if I just hold it by this tab, so you see I'm not supporting the knife itself. If I were to really shake this, it's not going to come loose. All right, now I've taken this in and out of the sheath a couple hundred times, but I don't know what it would be like, you know, say 5-10 years from now. Of course, eventually it'll loosen up a little bit, but it's such a snug fit right now that I don't foresee this falling out anytime soon. I would recommend, if you're going to carry it upright like this, but at least for a long time if you needed to. I don't see why you would, but just in case you wanted to mount it in this position here so you can pull it down, shouldn't be much of an issue. It's very, very tight in there, very good retention for being a leather sheath. Obviously, like I said, wing style, so you just feed your belt, you know, through one side and then pop out the other side. All right, there's a little drainage hole towards the tip here. Depending on how you're mounting this is something, you can use this hole for another place to put a piece of paracord through. Not long enough really to put around your thigh. Sometimes when you have long fixed blades, you'll have it on your belt, mounted to your belt, and then also so it doesn't wiggle around or shake or anything like that, you would also wrap it around the leg. But this is more so for drainage and for mounting to, say, a bag or something similar. But sheath retention is very good. No complaints with it all. I go back and forth. I can do leather. It's not my first choice, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the sheath. It's pretty well made. So the knife, let's talk about the blade shape. Kind of a funky shape. The one thing that stands out most to me is the organic curve we have here. There's a lot of belly right at the base, okay, of the blade, which is very unique and different. In addition to that, it kind of comes up and does a very, very slight S-turn. You know, it kind of, instead of coming straight up, it kind of comes up and then slowly, just gradually comes back straight. Now it's not extreme in that design, but it is kind of an organic curve. It's not straight, it's not a Warncliffe or anything. It is definitely unique. And you also have a very long swedge. It's not very wide, but it starts back here, comes all the way up front. It's on both sides. All right, sorry for all the fingerprints and stuff. Knife is used. But yeah, it's different. Very organic, almost like it's melting. It kind of seems random, but in fact, it's not random at all. There's a lot of consideration that went into this knife. Ken Onion, the knife maker who designed this, obviously, his name is right in the blade there. But he had been trying to come up with the ideal hunting knife, and this has been in the making for 5 years. For 5 years, he originally came up with the concept, and he gave them out to a bunch of people, Alaskan guides and Alaskan hunters, to actually use them. It wasn't just like, let me just design something that looks cool and just tout it off as being this great knife. Being a good knife maker like he is, he actually does a lot of research, and he does a lot of, like, you know, in the field testing. Now, of course, he's not going to be able to devote the time and effort he needs to personally, so he literally gave out his knives, these prototypes, to people to use. Real hunters, real woodsmen, you know, real mountain men. And they went out there and they used them, and they brought him feedback. They said, hey, I like this, I don't like this. You know, why don't you make the blade bigger? Why don't you make it smaller? Why don't you do this, that, the other thing? And he used this feedback, and over the course of 5 years has fine-tuned it down to what you're looking at right here. Now, the blade shape itself has a lot going for it, for specifically a hunting knife. The belly on the bottom here, which seems really unique to me and very different, would be fantastic for skinning. Now, I don't have a personal use for skinning. I don't hunt. I don't need to skin anything. For EDC tasks, I don't find that it's hindered anything. To me, it's not a positive, but it's not a negative. It's not producing something extra for me. In other words, if you were to grip this up a little bit higher like this on the blade, you can use the base here to really scrape something. I personally don't need a knife for that chore. If I ever did, this would be a fantastic one to have. You know, better suited than a lot of other knives I have. But I wanted to really test this knife in the capacity that a lot of you will probably use it, and that would be just for somewhat of an EDC knife or possibly a camp knife. It could be a smaller backup or companion to a larger knife. Now, if you're someone who spends a lot of time out in the woods and you have a very good kit going for you and you're very much into the survival wilderness thing, hunting and skinning and all that stuff is definitely a large consideration. Okay, so in that respect, I have to say this would really excel, you know, having this in addition to a larger knife. Even if you were doing some bushcraft type chores. You know, hollowing out a bowl or something. If you're cold burning, you know, your own bowl or some kind of utensil or something, you can use this to scrape the sides. So it's a good size, but it wouldn't be the only knife you'd want. You'd want this to companion with a very large fixed blade. But in that sense, it would definitely shine. Fantastic knife design. Originally looking at it, I thought, why? Like, it's really cool. Is it like a fantasy type thing? Is it different just to be different? But no, if you know, look at CRKT's website and stuff, you read up on the knife a little bit, you understand exactly why certain angles, you know, why the tip dips down a little bit, why there's belly in the bottom. You know, there's reasons for this. There's a little bit of a finer tip in there, but you don't want it to be so fine where if you hit some bone or something, you know, taking an animal down, that it's going to break your knife. So all these things are a consideration. Obviously, having a deeper finger choil like this and having a thumb ramp on here is going to give you maximum grip. Specifically, in that sense, if you're a hunter-gatherer, you know, if you're processing an animal, it's going to be disgusting. It's going to be bloody and wet and messy. You want a knife with grip. This pattern, this material, and this design offers maximum grip. I don't see this thing ever coming out of your hand, you know, wet or dry. So it does serve a purpose in that sense. The one big feedback thing he got from a lot of these hunters was they prefer D2. D2 is a tool steel. It's something that is definitely better with edge retention than some other options out there. There is no perfect steel. I've talked to this before. There's different steels for different purposes, but a lot of hunters prefer their D2. So CRKT and Ken Onion together wanted to get some of the best D2 there is, and that's why they went with Böhler K110. Böhler is a company located in Austria, and their K110 is basically their name for their version of D2. D2 varies slightly between the makers, but generally what makes it D2 is the specific composition that it has. It's not a stainless, it is a tool steel. It's very hard tool steel, has very good edge retention, has very good rust resistance for being a tool steel. It doesn't want to rust very easily. Some people do have issues with that. That's probably just due to lack of maintenance, you know, and improper use. But this is where I want to get a little more scientific with you and show you some different things in comparison. All right, I have some printouts here, and the first one is a printout from CATRA, C-A-T-R-A. That's the Culinary Allied Trades Research Association. This is a company, you know, educated people who literally test tools. They test edge tools. They want to see what the edge retention is. They want to see the strength, the durability. They do a lot of testing for different companies, you know, to get feedback so they can alter what their product, you know, the end result's going to be. So here's the printout here for the Rockwell and the edge retention on a couple different steels. Now the top one section here is powdered metal grade steels. All right, these can compare with the conventional stainless steels. All right, you see like way up here is LMAX and M4. These are highly touted by a lot of guys. So I'll bring this down a little bit so you can see that better. You can see on their scale, it's up in the 900s, which is like crazy. But as far as the conventional steels, the Böhler K110 is the best out of the bunch compared to N690, compared to 14.4 CR MOV, also compared to Böhler's N360 and, you know, generic 440C. So there's the numbers right here. It does come out best at a Rockwell of 61. So the performance is very, very good. Now the difference between the Böhler K110 D2 and a lot of other D2 is that the Böhler's version is much, much higher in vanadium, okay, which adds strength. Now it's the highest of all the D2 variants that are out there, and that's why CRKT and Ken Onion went with it. They wanted D2, but they wanted the best of D2. All right, in addition to that, I want to read you this little blurb real quick, and this is basically on their like patented cross-rolling technology. It's very strangely worded. I mean, it's like scientifically worded, and if you're a smart person, you'll get it. But if you're, you know, just an average person like me, you're gonna go, wait a minute, isn't there an easy way to say that? And yes, the easiest way to saying what I'm about to say is that they roll it in two different directions, okay? And what that does is it makes a nice even grain structure. It also makes for a flatter steel, and which in return gives you a stronger product. That's all this is gonna mean. But here's a confusing way of saying it. Unique cross-rolling technology. Integrated production for the production of press plates with highest surface finishes. One can only use the purest material. Bowler has the competence as a producer of special steel with state-of-the-art melting technologies. Extremely good flatness behavior based on isotropic, mechanically, and physical properties is achieved for these special press plates through Bowler's cross-rolling technology. With the special rolling technology from Bowler, forming is done in longitudinal and transverse direction. Through the technology, round grains are produced compared to coil plates, which are rolled only in one direction. This rolling procedure, combined with a special heat treatment, which is the solution annealing and followed by a precipitation hardening, causes isotropic properties, which means that the physical and mechanical properties, example thermal expansion, are equal in longitudinal and transverse direction. Yeah, why couldn't they just say what I said and they roll it in two directions instead of one? That's all. Lots of people are doing one way. They're doing both ways. Very cool of you. But yeah, all that really does translate to more even, more structurally sound, tighter steel, and therefore a little bit stronger. And what you need to know is the reason it's a little bit stronger is good for you because it's going to be sharper longer. Better edge retention if it's stronger. So, with all that out of the way, what else can we say? Move that paper, it's bugging me. I can still see it. Now I can't, all right. All that translates to what? It's a cool steel, it works good. If you like D2, this is great. It's a little bit better than the D2 you probably used before. It's not gonna be like the difference, it's not night and day, okay? It's a slight difference, but it is going to be better. And that's why they chose it. You know, this stuff doesn't happen by accident. There's a lot of research and time and thought that goes into making knives. I've said that before, I'll say it again. Whether you're a custom maker or a production company, you know, you think about your product. Things don't just happen by mistake. All right? A lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears goes into this kind of stuff. But anyway, unique blade design, definitely multifunctional for your hunter out there. Definitely better accompanied with a larger knife for like wilderness type trekking, survival, that kind of crap. But by itself, a fantastic outdoors knife. A lot of you guys out there might be looking for these, you know, looking at all different knife reviews, basically for like an EDC knife. And I've said this before, if it's got a sharp edge, it's going to work fine. I don't think this is a bad EDC knife. It's just specifically suited for outdoors use, even more specifically for a hunting, trapping type scenario. But ergos are great. It looks very cool. It's very different. It's extremely comfortable in the hand. You know, it's great in reverse grip as well. All right, not that you really need this grip for this knife, but you know, it's not a bad option in my opinion for even a self-defense option out there. And I've talked this before between automatic knives, you know, and assisted knives and balisongs and everything else. Nothing beats a fixed blade for self-defense. Nothing. All right, to have this on your side, God forbid you ever need to take a blade out to defend your life, or, you know, the life of your loved ones, you're going to want a fixed blade of any kind. The bigger, the sharper, the better. But yeah, not a bad option, to be honest. I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. I like it. It's very cool. For me, it's a tinkering knife. It's a knife that I'll have on my side for outdoor use. It might be even a knife for my my bag, my bob bag for my car, because I am looking for like a medium-sized knife to have in there. So that may be where the destiny is on this one. This may reside in my bob. But that's it. If you guys have this knife, you want to add your 2 cents, that's what the comments are for. If you have a camera, feel free to do a video response. That's what YouTube's for, videos, right? But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you enjoyed the little blurb and blabber on the steel here, the Bowler K110. It's very interesting stuff. I will probably do videos in the future talking about all different steels and the components and elements that go into steels, the difference between stainless, and carbon, all that kind of stuff. I know it's very fascinating. You guys do want to know that, but it's hard to put it all in one video. Even if I was kind of short about it and I didn't really, I didn't just ramble on about things, it's way too much information for one video. I may put out specific videos on specific steels, so in the future you can reference those. Like if I have a video on this, where, the title says Bowler K110 or whatever, and if you come across a knife that has it, you do a little search, you find my video, and it's specifically on that steel. This way you're not like searching through an hour-long video trying to find what the information you want. Anyway, that's all. It's a fantastic knife. Yet another awesome home run from CRKT. I am a Ken Onion fan as well. Big fan. I've always liked his designs. Very organic, very natural flowing designs in his work. Every custom knife maker brings something special to the table. And, you know, some stand out more than others. And he's someone who I've always just admired early on. You know, with a bunch of different companies. His work's fantastic. I've never had one of his full-blown customs, but I'd be honored to try something like that out in the future. I've always liked his designs. Very cool stuff. So anyway, that's all. That's the Onion Skinner from CRKT. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate your time as always, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.